Able to seal him. Here's the pass. Oh, what a catch! Leaping into the air and pulling it down is T. Higgins. Burrow facing pressure. Goes over the top. Wide open is Chase. And he splits the defenders for the touchdown. The Cincinnati Kid. Hubbard's got a convoy. Chased by Andrews. At the 30, the 20, he will score!
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our victorious Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, we finally can say that. Oh, God, it feels like it's been forever. But man, oh man, what a big win tonight by our Cincinnati Bengals. A game that I talked about last week. This is a must-win game, Mon. This was a must-win game for this football team. Cannot lose back-to-back home games. Ring of Honor, the whiteout, everything going on. The Bengals they willed their way to a victory. The defense willed their way to a victory, Mom. We're going to talk all about the game. What are your initial reactions from this football game, Mom?
Well, I agree with you. It was definitely a must win. I saw a stat earlier this week. I guess teams that go 0-3, only 6 have made the playoffs since the 70s. I forget what date. It's a unbelievable hurdle. So we're not 0-3. Getting that win is huge, especially with the Colts helping us with the Ravens this week. We're only one game back from, in our division. It was an uneven game. It was an ugly game tonight. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm glad we won. The defense really stepped up. They did give up some big plays early. You can tell the offense is struggling with Joe's nagging injury, a little unevenness there. Some really bad body language in the first half. A lot of the guys getting frustrated, you can tell. And hopefully the coaching staff gets that worked out. This win's going to help with that, obviously. But you can tell the offense has some work to do. I'll take the win. I'm happy with the win. And, buddy, I tell you what, Trey Hendrickson really – I think he's worth every daggone penny we pay him.
Absolutely. Him and Logan Wilson, right? Every penny. I'm going to say this before we go over the stats and stuff. Aaron Donald is a generational – He is one of the best defensive players I have watched in 40 years of watching football. He is unbelievable. I mean, and I don't like giving credit to other players in this league, but Jesus, that dude is unreal. He is unblockable. He is the best defensive player in football, Mon. And for the Bengals to limit this Rams team to only 2 sacks tonight when they absolutely manhandled us in the Super Bowl speaks volumes, I think, about how far this offensive line has come since then. But good God, Mon, Aaron Donald is just unreal. Jesus.
Yeah, he's definitely generational. Him and Myles Garrett are easily the 2 best defenders in football right now. He only was credited for one sack, but he changed so many plays. He caused some of those false starts. The offensive line did adjust. They played well. Volson was catching a lot of heck on Twitter about his play. I get it. He struggled, but Aaron Donald makes a lot of people struggle, and you can say the same thing. We were critical of Jonah Williams, of course. Myles Garrett makes a lot of tackles look bad, but Volson's still a young player. It's his 20th game as a pro, 22nd game. He's going to get better, but going up against Aaron Donald will make him better. But the offensive line has been very pleasant, and they're playing really well, and they're going to have to continue doing that, especially with Joe's nagging injury.
Agreed. Well, let's look at some of these stats. The Bengals defense. Let's start with that, man. 6 sacks, 2 interceptions. The first time since 2019, Mon, that a Bengals defense has had 5 or more sacks and 2 interceptions in a game. This defense was just unreal. The pressure was coming from everywhere. BJ Hill got a sack. Sam Hubbard got a sack. Trey got 2. Dax got 1. Uh, the pressure and what Lou drew up, especially after the Rams tackle left the football game, it was I can't believe they never tried to double Trey with anybody, chip him, nothing. I mean, it was just they were leaving that guy out on an island, and he was just getting absolutely destroyed. They could have called holding against him on every play. But this Bengals defense, Mon, holds this Rams offense to under 300 total yards, 292 yards total for a Rams offense, Mon, that has looked really good the first 2 weeks of this season. Again, this is not some pushover Rams team like last year. This is a very good Rams football team, a team that beat the Seahawks and a team that hung with the Niners and was a play or two away from winning that football game. Matthew Stafford, again, with 2 interceptions. Again, just very impressive play by this Bengals defense. He throws a touchdown at the very end of the game. Had a little broken coverage there. But this Bengals defense, again, Mom, let's talk about how well they played tonight. They were all over the field. I mean, we saw the old Mike Hilton tonight. He was coming downhill, smacking people. Dax Hill is quickly, Mon, becoming a very good defender on the back end of this defense. I'm not sure if we're ready to forget about Jesse yet, but Dax Hill has played really well these first 3 games, Mon.
Dax was very surprising. He had, I think, back-to-back solid plays in the first half on a drive. That 1 sack from Stafford was nice. He had a good pass defend. The whole defense was really consistent with the pressure. You're right on Trey Hendrickson. I think he could have had almost 3 sacks in a row. One was called back due to a penalty. He had another one later in the game called back due to a penalty. There was an obvious couple holds that weren't called, but I think those refs just felt sorry for those tackles. It was really, really bad. Let's go back to the Rams real quick. Everybody just wants to look back at their season last year. They had a really poor record. That it's a Super Bowl hangover. They went into, like you just mentioned, they went into Seattle week 1, into Seattle and beat them handily. I think it was 30-10, 30-13. That's an impressive win. They played San Francisco last week. Some consider the best team in football. They had them on the ropes. They only lost by 7. They had the lead majority of that game. They're a good football team, and we dominated them tonight. I do want to see a little bit more from our offense. We'll talk about the offense in a second, but the defense was great, just good, consistent pressure. They could have had another 3 sacks very easily. Good to see Logan Wilson out there. Somebody that didn't really play a lot of snaps, but when he did, he just flashes. He just looks the part out there. DJ Turner from Michigan, that cornerback. Yes. He doesn't look out of place. He looks confident. He's going to be a good NFL football player. Let's keep him healthy.
I agree. Dax Hill, we talked about him on just real quick. Dax Hill was the leading tackler tonight. 8 tackles, 7 solo tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Sam Hubbard and Cam Taylor-Britt tied for second, each with 6 tackles. Of course, Sam had the big sack as well. Logan Wilson, I mean, what can you say about the guy? Mon, do you know that he leads all NFL linebackers? I think they said over the last 3 years with interceptions, and he's 9. He's got 9 total interceptions, 3 more interceptions than any linebacker in the NFL. He is just a ball hawk. I mean, he is like having another safety on the field, just in a bigger body, in the body of a linebacker. I have praised Logan forever. I think he's one of the best linebackers in football, and once again, he showed it tonight.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. When I heard the announcer Chris Fowler say that, I'm like, wow, I know he's had a lot of interceptions. Yeah. Jake, I want to talk about one play by our defense that I think is underappreciated. It happened early in the game. I think without that play, we could have another L tonight. After their wide receiver stepped out at the 3, the Bengals defense stiffened, and DJ Reader came up with a huge sack.
Huge.
That 6-7 yard loss, that really put them in a bind, and they settled for a field goal. Huge play by our best defensive player. And I will say that I think DJ Reader is the quarterback of our defense. He is that important. That sack really, I think, set the tone for the rest of the game.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And we've seen, again, this was very reminiscent of this defense the last 2 years, the defense that led us to 2 AFC championships. Tonight looked like the old defense, right? It looked like that bend but don't break. You know, they gave up some big plays there in the first half, but they didn't give up. I mean, Monty could have easily been 14-3. And this Bengals defense held tight. Like you said, DJ Reader makes a big play down there in the red zone. And both teams really struggle to score. But these are two very good defenses on the field, led by those front sevens from both teams. Again, let's look at this offense, because we kind of heard throughout the week Jamar Chase wanted more touches, Mon. Well, he got them. He was 3 away from the Monday Night Football record. He ends up with 12 receptions, 141 yards, no touchdowns, Mom, but finally that big play, right? That chunk play, that 20-plus, 25-plus yard play, 43-yard reception for him. Tyler Boyd has 5 for 39, obviously involved in Joe Burrow's only turnover of the game, and really a tough – you hate to call those interceptions. You hate to see Joe Burrow get that on his stat line, because that ball was in Tyler Boyd's hands. That play's got to be made. T. Higgins struggled a little bit tonight, Mom. We saw 2 drops on third down that both of them would have been first downs. They were drive killers, drops, just very unordinary of our guy T. Higgins, and hopefully everything good's there. I want to talk about Mitchell Wilcox, Mon. You know, again, he has a big grab in the first half, and then obviously recovering the onside kick. Mitchell Wilcox played well tonight. And, of course, my guy, Hudson, 2 receptions for 30 yards. I'm very, very happy that Tanner Hudson is now on the 53, and hopefully he is going to be on that active roster here for the rest of the season, because I think he can really help us at the tight end position. Mom, what do you think about the Bengals offense? Talk about Joe Mixon a little bit, how he ran the football tonight.
Yeah, it was Joe Mixon was amazing. I just following up on some of the things you said. A lot of uncharacteristic things happened tonight. The T. Higgins drops, that's not going to happen very often, but they would have been first downs. Early in the game, Jake, we had, I think, 3, maybe 4 offside false starts. And, we were 3rd and 1, 2nd and 2. And next thing you know, it's 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 11. Manageable plays. All of a sudden, it changed some things, forced us to punt.
Yeah.
The offense started off sluggish, similar to last week, but then they played a lot better in the second half. You can still see that they're trying to figure things out, and they will. Again, we sort of touched base on the offensive line a little bit. Joe Mixon has really been the star of this offense the first 3 weeks. He has really, really played well, 65 yards rushing. The one thing that frustrates me about the Bengals, and I'm not trying to be negative, you have a quarterback that is working through a leg issue. In the first half, you have 33 pass attempts to 7 rush attempts in the first half. They ran more in the second half. Things picked up in the second half, obviously. We scored more points. A little bit more control on offense. We have to do a better job of trying to balance things out a little bit. The Bengals are never going to be 20-20 or 50-50 rush pass.
No.
But 33 pass attempts, especially when you have a limited quarterback, the 7 rush attempts, I just scratch my head. I can't figure that out. But, hey, I'm just a fireman in Florida. I'm not a football coach. But still, it's frustrating. I'm glad we got the win. We have got to get better on offense, and I'm not worried about T. T's catching a lot of hell on Twitter. I don't think it's fair. He had some drops.
I don't think it's fair. I agree.
It happens, and he's going to be okay.
Listen, I mean, he looked like the old T last week.
Yeah.
We can't jump off the T. Higgins bandwagon because he has a rough game. It's going to happen.
And that defensive back made a hell of a play. Yeah, Boyd should have caught it. but that was a hell of a defensive play. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. The guy
Yeah.
made a hell of a defensive play.
And the offensive pass interference, we left that out on T. Higgins as well. That was a huge play.
Yes. I forgot
Going,
about that.
going from having the ball on the 3-yard line. By the way, Mon, the Bengals were only in the red zone once tonight, and that ended up as a touchdown. I think more so than anything right now, this offense needs to figure things out in the red zone, how to get down there. Again, stalling out before you get inside the 20 is just, it's a killer. It's a momentum killer for this football team. In saying that, our guy Money Mac, he did miss a long field goal there in the first half. I think that one was about 56 yards, the one he missed. He did make a 54-yarder. He was 4 of 5. Obviously, again, he wins us that football game, no doubt about it. And again, like you said, Mama, I think this Bengals football team, if they get rolling on offense, man, oh man, it's so close. It's so close. But again, our quarterback right now is, you can tell, Mon, he's not the same back there, but he is better than what we have behind him. And I think they talked about it before the game tonight. The Bengals said Joe Burrow at 80% is still better than 3/4 of the quarterbacks in the NFL, and that is a true statement.
I agree. The Bengals are very conservative. Jake, a stat that I really love about tonight's game is time of possession. Cincinnati Bengals with 36 minutes. 36 minutes time of possession compared to the Rams 24. That's what helps your defense out. The defense, we have played, well, after, not counting tonight's game, we played 2 NFL football games. But if you go by the snap count from the Browns and Ravens game, it's almost the equivalent of playing 3 football games. How many plays the defense was on the field. Of course, they could have made some plays to get off the field, but the offense was trying to figure things out too. They played a lot of snaps these last 2 weeks. It's good for them to get a little bit of a break.
Agreed. And Joe Burrow, like you said, I just want to really quickly jump on that. Threw the ball 49 times tonight. Again, I'm not too sure that's what we want our quarterback doing right now. Although Joe Mixon did have 19 carries tonight, but I'm not sure dropping back 49 times. Well, really 51 times because he got sacked twice. So dropping back 51 times, Mon, not ideal for a quarterback right now that is on one leg. But man, oh man, gutsy performance by Joe Burrow. That's why he is who he is and why he's one of the best in this league. To go out there on one leg, gut through it. He knew this team had to win this football game on. And, there was no doubt in my mind ever, Mon, that he was not playing in this football game tonight.
I had my doubts. Some reputable people on Twitter, that people that I've been following for years, were giving out some snippets, but I'm glad he did play. I am so glad. I'm glad he didn't re-aggravate it. I like what he said after the game. It's going to get better every week. Jake, we got to go one game at a time, like I said last week. One game at a time, let's get to that bye week, because you know what? I think Joe Burrow could be up to 85, 90% after the bye week. I think he's 75 now, and I agree with the statement earlier in the program when they said he's 75% is better than a lot of the quarterbacks that play in the NFL. Call me a homer. That's a true statement. Really, a couple of things I just want to harp on. Again, the offensive line did an amazing job pass blocking. Yes. And I tell you what, that defense, Lou Anarumo, they stepped up tonight. And that pass rush, I love seeing it. I think second, third highest paid defensive line in football. They earned every penny of it tonight.
Well, we look ahead, Mon, and you have the Titans this week, a team that just looked absolutely abysmal against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. And then you have the Cardinals, who played very well and beat the Dallas Cowboys, a team that a lot of people in the power rankings had number 1. The Cardinals manhandle the Cowboys, and then we have the Seahawks in Paycor Stadium. So Some winnable games, Mon. And like you said, if this team can be 4-2 going into the bye, and Joe Burrow has a week off of that leg, man, oh man, we could come out roaring the second half of the season and get back to where we need to be.
Yeah, I hated seeing the Titans look as bad as they did yesterday because they got a hell of a football coach. They're going to be back at home. I don't expect them to play as bad as they did against the Browns. Cincinnati matches up really well against them. I think I think Stafford is a better player than Tannehill. Tannehill is probably a little bit better of an athlete, but he's not the athlete that he was. We're not going to go up against a Lamar, somebody that sort of frustrates the Bengals with their athleticism. Of course, they got that great running game there. One game at a time. We just got to take care of business. Let's get the 4-2, 3-3. I'll take that. But 4-2 would be sweet. The Cardinals played really well. I watched most of that game yesterday. They got a lot of athletes there, but so do the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to get better every week, Jake, and we'll talk more about the Titans later in the week.
Well, before we get out of here, Mon, let's just real quick, once again, congratulations to two of our favorite players of all time, Boomer Esiason and Chad Ochocinco Johnson. What an incredible night for those guys. I wish we could have been there to see it live, but it was just awesome, right? I mean, everybody's there for those guys, and watching Ken Anderson give the jacket to Boomer and watching Willie give it to Chad. Just incredible, man. The kudos again to the Bengals front office for starting to bring back these alumni and getting them more involved. And it's just incredible to see. You love to see it. Hoosh was there. Marvin was there. Pac-Man was there. Just a packed house full of past Bengals coming out to celebrate with these guys. And I love when they did the Ruler of the Jungle and Chad comes out in Jamar's jersey, Boomer comes out in Joe Burrow's jersey. I just love it, Mon. I love those guys. Congratulations to them. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it's great to see them two get in there. They both made the Bengals cool, but all the other players that came in to celebrate with them, Terrell Owens was here also.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see, and yeah, kudos to the Bengals for doing that. The fans love it, the players love it. I can't wait to read all the stuff on Bengals.com. They're going to chronicle it very well. But man, what a night! And it's just fun to be a Bengal fan. It's always fun to win. Man, we just got to keep on getting better. We just got to keep on getting better, and it's going to be, it's a long season, man. There's a lot of good games coming up. I mean, Jake, I'm just going to say this. I know you wished it into existence, the Colts beating the Ravens. I think they were 8-point underdogs, and I'm going to tell you, any given Sunday, there is no easy game in football. There is no easy game in the NFL. And just take one game at a time. 14 more to go. We got a long way to go.
Long way to go. And again, we saw a lot of very common things that we've seen over the last 2 years, right? We saw a defense go out and carry a struggling offense. We saw a defense getting to the quarterback and turning the ball over and giving the offense good field position that's struggling. We saw Jamar Chase break through tonight. We saw Joe Mixon starting to run the football downhill. So we've seen a lot of things very reminiscent to these last 2 years that got us to the AFC Championship. Hopefully, like you said, the Bengals just got to take it one game at a time and keep this thing rolling. And hopefully we can get to that bye and get Joe a little bit healthier because, man, oh, man, when Joe Burrow is running around that pocket and he's under center and he can run play action, it's going to change the entire offense 100%.
Absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier broadcast, a lot of young players playing a lot of snaps on defense. They're going to get better each week. Nick Scott, new to the Bengals. Dax Hill, second-year player. DJ Turner playing a lot. Cam Taylor-Britt's only a second-year player. A lot of young players back there are going to get better and better. On offense, Volson is going to get better. these guys, your tight end, Hudson's going to get better and play. I think I could see him getting called up to the active roster permanently.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young guys playing a lot of snaps. Charlie Jones, Yoshivas, they're all going to improve. Every single one of them. And it's going to be a fun season.
All right, well, that is another edition of the Bengals Pulse. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, if you like this podcast, give Mon and I that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. Follow him on Twitter at TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at CoachJakeOwens9. Follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9 on Instagram. The same without the at Bengals_Pulse9. Just what the doctor ordered, Mon. A win, a Bengals victory. As always, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. I am Jake. Hoo-day, Bengal fans. We will see you later on in the week.